Blockchain combined with cryptographic encryption unlocked a future of what could be done with the internet that is further being discovered and pioneered. Now, there are new ideas being pioneered today that could radically transform how technology operates in the coming years. New ways to reward and pay users to capture vital information that businesses want and need for greater efficiencies. Now, I invited Tim from Chirp Wireless to come and join us to talk about what they are doing. I've been following Chirp for a while now, as I invested in Chirp myself a year ago in the pre-sale round. One of only a few projects that I invested in the pre-sale round in the past few years, because I mostly only invest in projects that are being punished during the bear market that are already out. So for it to be a pre-sale that I'm investing in, I have to really like it. This is a sponsored interview from Chirp, and one that I'm personally invested in myself and put my own money behind, because I like what it's doing, and I think you will too, and will want to hear about it. Now, many of you weren't likely around when a new idea and crypto project came about called Helium. Now, I remember it well because one of my good friends who was new to crypto with me when I started in 2017, well, during that following bear market of 2018 to 2020, we were researching like crazy at every opportunity to possibly increase our crypto holdings as possible. And they had a cool idea where you could put an antenna and bring some of the traffic through the antenna to your internet. It added value to the network, and you could make some tokens. Helium did incredibly well in that following bull run. Now, Chirp has taken that concept to a whole new level, and I think you will be fascinated to hear what they are doing. Welcome to the Crypto Rain channel and our family. Also help me welcome Tim from Chirp, who's going to share with us more about what Chirp is doing. Tim, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me on the show.
Yeah, now for those who haven't heard of Chirp, because your token hasn't launched, and even though some of the crypto space is already familiar with what Chirp is, you actually have something out there that they've been able to participate in. For those that have never heard of it, what is Chirp?
So at Chirp, we're building a decentralized network and an ecosystem for IoT. Essentially, we're building a place where you can connect any type of device regardless of its connectivity method. So there's a whole bunch of different wireless connectivity methods. And right now, all of the devices, they pretty much have vendor lock-in. If you have some residential devices, you will know what I'm talking about. You buy an IoT device for your house. It could be a video camera, it could be a door sensor, a temperature sensor, you name it. Most likely it comes with an app. And if that manufacturer does not have another device that you need, you find yourself in this situation where you are buying devices from different manufacturers and you're using multiple apps, and those devices are not compatible and they cannot talk to each other. So this is essentially the problem that we're solving at Chirp. We're making this ecosystem that unifies all IoT, be it residential, commercial, for smart cities, you name it. We're not focusing on any specific use case. We're building this ecosystem where we are erasing the vendor lock-ins and we're erasing borders between different manufacturers.
So in some ways, is it acting as a standard or a middleware protocol that is like, if they then develop things to this protocol, they can all interact together?
Exactly. So there's this is actually a known problem in IoT. So there's a Matter standard that is being developed by a couple of giants right now. But the Matter standard, it primarily focuses on Zigbee devices. And Zigbee devices, they're short-range devices. They're primarily used for residential purposes. Something like that is also attempted by Amazon Alexa or Google, so on and so forth, where you can connect some of the devices to their platform. But all of those methods they are focused only on residential devices. And the problem still exists when you go to the commercial space, when you want to track something like your vehicle, where you need long range. And then in addition to this, we have the actual transport layer where the network is being distributed by the crypto community. Crypto community buys the miners, installs those miners on their houses, and provides different types of connectivity for different types of devices. So we're a lot more than just a network. So a network is, it transfers the packet that the device sends from point A to point B. And this is, so in your intro, you said, you mentioned Helium, and this is exactly what Helium does. It's a transport layer, but it does not have anything on top of that could decode those messages. So essentially on the receiving side, you will just get the computer code from the device. So we are doing a network where we transfer those packets from the devices to their end destination. But then we have a whole bunch of tools on top of it that we have built that enable the use of the network. So you can actually visualize the data from different devices. You can create different rules for devices where an action on one device could trigger an action on another. So for example, I don't know, if the smoke detector goes off, send me an SMS, like those types of rules. So this is what we enable, and we're building, like a whole bunch of different applications that go on top of our network. They bootstrap the growth of the network, and also we're building a whole bunch of tools for RWA to simplify IoT deployments. So RWA, real world assets. Most of those real world assets need to talk to each other and to the internet. So most of RWA is actually IoT devices. And we are providing those tools because, like IoT is extremely, extremely difficult. And if you're starting to build an RWA project, be it, decentralized car sharing, decentralized scooter sharing, you name it, you will find yourself diving into the IoT space, and you will be trying to solve all of those problems with IoT, with incompatibility of IoT devices. So we're providing all of those tools for RWAs so they could focus on building their DApp, so they don't have to deal with intricacies of IoT. This is essentially what Chirp does. So it's a big undertaking, and it's a lot more than just a regular network for IoT.
I wasn't aware. Yeah. So one of the uses, like the things that come about that I've seen is like the scooter sharing, right? Which is ride sharing. But your vision is a future where companies can add their own scooters to a network, and that they can essentially plug into the infrastructure that you have set up. And so that you can have, it's so much easier rather than having to them go out and build their own distributed network to carry the signals to track where their scooters are. They can be a provider of scooters and be like, how do I interoperate with you? And they can then learn how to interoperate with Chirp's network, and bam, their barrier to entry is so much lower.
Exactly.
By people interacting, because on your end, you're also rewarding all these regular people for providing different things to the network that then these manufacturers or these companies that are running, say, scooters, can then interoperate with. And so users are rewarded for just running antennas or different things to the network that then the scooter company can then interoperate. And so it creates a win-win for both sides. And because of blockchain and cryptographic encryption, this all is now possible, whereas before it really wasn't. Is that a correct summary so far?
Yeah, exactly. So If you think about car sharing, so for car sharing where you do not have a driver, so we're not talking about the model where you have where the car belongs to somebody and there's a driver, and you track the driver by their phone, right? They have an app on their phone, and you can actually see the status. But if we're talking about those ride-sharing companies that operate where the car is sitting on the side of the street and you can come up to it, you can unlock it, you can use the vehicle, and then you can return the vehicle. So those types of cars, they need some kind of device that would be able to remotely unlock the vehicle, that would be able to start the vehicle after you make a payment through the app. And those are the types of devices that you can also connect to Chirp. And without Chirp, essentially what you're going to be facing is you have a set of devices that can control a vehicle that have licensing in a particular country. And then, so for example, they have licensing in Europe, but they don't have licensing in the US. And you cannot have a global business because in the US, you will have to turn to a different manufacturer with different devices. And those devices are going to be incompatible. And you would actually have to physically program each device so your platform would see and be able to communicate with those devices. And those are the things that we simplify for all RWA. Essentially, if you're using Chirp, you're building an app, and you can connect any type of device through Chirp, and it will give you standardized output for your application, and you can just use it. So it's a very, very powerful tool that could be used by residential clients where you want to connect, a whole bunch of IoT devices from different manufacturers, and you don't have to worry about, are they compatible? It could be a very powerful tools for businesses because businesses face the same issue where they have to deal with multiple applications to manage different types of devices, and also like smart cities and everything like that. So essentially, we're creating this entire ecosystem that prepares us for the automated future. So I mean, right now it's the matter of time when everything is going to be automated, and when we're going to see, like robots, self-driving vehicles, so on and so forth on the road. And unfortunately, the IoT ecosystem was not prepared for that just yet. It's way too fragmented.
Yeah, fragmented is the right word. And it needs like standards, right? So I remember in the early days of the internet, like HTTP protocol was being developed. France went ahead and spent $3 billion running with this technology that they thought was going to be the next, wasn't interoperable with the internet. And so 3 billion wasted because everything was fragmented. So they came up with some standards and some other things. And then people could take whatever computer they had, and their computer then had these standards on it, could then make it interoperable with web browsers and the internet, and bam, anyone can easily get on the internet. So what you're saying is Chirp would be able to bring together different devices from different manufacturers and have them work together. So if you have an existing home security system in a home that you buy, and it's whatever, you could probably then be able to get it to interoperate with a network so that then you could have it messaging you if somebody comes to the front door. Or you could even take different pieces from different, say something from Honeywell, something from a different provider, and they would be able to interoperate. Now, many that weren't around in crypto in 2017, this whole idea of the Internet of Things really started being talked about then. And they're like, why can't refrigerators connect to the internet in a way that then they could take instructions, that you could maybe see a warning that your fridge had like shut off or something to your phone? And started thinking about it then with what they could do with blockchain and cryptographic encryption. So here we are 7 years down the road, almost 8 years down the road. And these things are starting to come together.
Exactly. So yeah, crypto space seems to be working in those hype waves. So there was this hype wave when Helium first came out, but I mean, they actually, like IoT, it didn't go anywhere, and it's developing more and more and more. So more and more devices are being connected throughout the world. And a lot of people, like when they think IoT, they think refrigerators, and they think, like microwaves. And that's why that's a very big mistake, because those are probably the two devices that you will never use the internet connectivity for. Maybe in the future you will. I don't know when like robots can stock your fridge, but not in the near future. But IoT is like literally all around us. It's all of the vehicles that are being connected, all of the 18 wheelers, they have IoT devices. All of the drivers of those 18 wheelers, they're supposed to have the electronic logbooks, how long they're behind the wheel, so on and so forth. And a lot of those logbooks, they're actually connected to the devices on the vehicle. So you can see and actually track how many miles you did in one day. There's a lot of logbooks that do not allow tracking just on your phone. So you have to have a device installed on the vehicle. And it differs from country to country. There's interesting use cases like in I can't remember if it's India or somewhere east. There's a big problem. People are stealing manhole covers, and you're driving down the road. There's no manhole cover, and you just leave your half of your car on the road when you hit an open hole. So there's actually devices that are being installed by the cities to track if the manhole cover is missing or not. There's billions and billions of different use cases. So I encourage everybody not to be thinking of IoT as like smart fridge or a smart microwave. It's way more than that. It's already a $200 billion industry. That's how big it is right now. And when you think about the future and where this industry is heading, just think about autonomous driving. Autonomous driving did not even start yet. There's only a handful of vehicles that are being tested right now. Once all of those vehicles hit the road, I mean, it's just it's going to be massive. Robots, vehicles. That's our future. And whether you like it or not, we have to prepare, and we have to build the infrastructure that could connect all of those things.
So talk to me some more about, you guys recently released a gamification scanning app. What is this all about? What does it do? And how can those that are interested participate in that?
Sure. So Cage, this app is called Cage. It's an Android app that you can download on your phone. And essentially what it does, it scans the surroundings that are around you, and it creates a digital twin of the world. So there's a whole bunch of wireless devices that are emitting wireless signals. It could be Wi-Fi routers, it could be cell towers, it could be Bluetooth devices like speakers, air conditioners, TVs, so it's public information that they're transmitting. So like essentially, if you want to connect to a Wi-Fi network, you turn on Wi-Fi on your phone and you see what Wi-Fi networks are available. This is the information that Cage players are scanning, and we're creating this database. And essentially the purpose of this database, it will allow geopositioning without the use of satellites. So right now, if you use a navigation system on your phone, what your phone does, it communicates with the satellites in space, with the GPS satellites in space all the time, and it's very, very power hungry. And essentially, if you don't have your phone plugged in when you have the navigation system on, because it's talking to the satellites in space, your battery will die in 4, 5, 6 hours, whatever. It's very, very power hungry. But the biggest downside of using the GPS is when you go indoors. So, for example, if you go into a large shopping center, the second you step in, the roof blocks the view of the satellites, and your phone says, sorry, the GPS signal is lost. And your navigation is not possible indoors because it cannot tell where you are. So by building this database, what actually Cage players are doing is they're expanding Chirp's offerings, because geolocation is a very, very big part of IoT. And this way, we're providing tools for different companies to build applications that will allow indoor positioning services. So, for example, you by querying the Chirp's database, you can build an application that will, when the GPS is not available, based on those signals, it could guide you further to a particular store indoors. And maybe in the future, you can upload your grocery shopping list, and it will even take you to that exact shelf in the store where onions are, or where apples are, or where those items from your shopping list are. So it enables indoor navigation. It enables low power geopositioning. For example, you can put a tracker on your dog, and instead of querying the satellite, it will actually find the location of your dog based on the signals of those wireless devices, and the battery is going to last a lot longer. So you don't have to charge your dog's tracker every couple of days. You can charge it, like once a month or something like that. And then the third use case of this database is Web3 proof of location. A lot of companies, they need to know exactly where their users were and at what time they were at a particular spot. With GPS, you can fake the signal, but with our network, we can prove that you were there if you can provide the wireless signals that were around you. So those are the three use cases that Cage players are actually doing. So they're creating this database. And big correction in here, there's a lot of misinformation on the internet. People are saying that this is an airdrop. It sounds like it's a marketing campaign that will end after listing. And it's far away from the truth, because Cage app, it actually turns your phone into a miner. And we're going to be building this database for a very, very long time, and we're going to be updating that database constantly. So it's never too late to join. You can join now, and like if we list and you didn't make the leaderboard after the listing, after we start the program, it will reset every 10 days, and every 10 days there will be a new leaderboard where you can make your rankings and where you can make your rewards and mine token with your phone. So
interesting. Now, you said it's an Android app. Is it also available on iPhone? Because
unfortunately, it's not, and there's a reason for that. It's not that we don't want to develop on iPhone. iPhone is a closed system, and it actually goes against the Web3 ethos. Like they're essentially trying to lock you in, and there's very few things that you can actually do on iOS, and on Android you can do a lot more. And those things, they're not possible on iOS. So a lot of those services, they have been
So
deprecated.
Engage is like a gamification of it. So it's providing real utility for real business use cases, and in return, users can get rewards in a like really good graphics and just a fun way to do it. But
And it's just the beginning of this. It's essentially with next updates, we're working on really exciting new features for Cage, where we're going to be turning it more into like Pokemon Go style, where you will have real treasure hunts. And we actually have, so there will be physical beacons, and they will be NFTs that will be attached to certain geolocations. And when you pass by that spot, your phone will detect the signal from that beacon that we hid, the physical beacon or the NFT, and it will say that you're next to this treasure and you will be looking for it. And essentially, we will have tokens in it, we'll have different types of prizes. And we're going to make it more exciting. So you walk around, you scan the surroundings, and you make a Chirp token by scanning, but you're also looking for those treasures that is kind of like the icing on the cake. And they're going to be scattered throughout the world. So
I like that. When you can combine gamification to real world utility, right? Especially if the game is fun. Let me ask you, Tim, one of the things that's a critical component to the companies I'm interested in investing in is not only the vision of the team behind it, but who is the team themselves? Who is the team running Chirp? And what are their backgrounds?
So it's essentially we're all IoT and IT experts. A majority of the team, each one of us has over 25 years of experience in IT. So we're not those newcomers that just decided that it would be fun and we know nothing about the space. We actually come from this space, and we know the issues that exist in IoT. We have 6 PhDs in telecommunications and computer science on the team. Majority of the team is from Deutsche Telekom, or in the US, it's called T-Mobile. We have a pretty serious team, I would think. So.
That's what I want to know, right? Because there are a lot of startups and they might even have a good idea. They just don't have the substance behind the team to ever make that idea run. And especially when you're dealing something like this, like bringing together, this is a concept that could change the way things operate in the future. In fact, I like what you've been sharing about the vision that you have and the real world problems that need to be solved. See, sometimes when people come into crypto, they're just like, invest in whatever meme coin. I like to invest in things that are solving real problems out there. They're bringing technology forward. And the blockchain combined with cryptographic encryption allows the internet to simply do things it could not do before. So I'm looking specifically for those companies that'll further that allow the internet to do things it could not do before in ways that blockchain, cryptographic encryption, and smart contracts were needed. I like that you shared, like in the future, like, your smoke detector could, like right now, smoke detectors work by themselves unless you have an overall system from one provider that then calls your phone. But what if you just went and bought a smoke detector at the local store, and you could then connect it to your internet signal, and then you could get a phone call if like it goes off? That's something you want to know if you're not home and your smoke detector goes off.
Yeah, so actually the types of services that we're building on top of Chirp, they will take that to a whole new level. So essentially what we're working on, it's not ready yet, but your devices will be able to send notifications to police, to fire departments, so on and so forth. and that will be a paid service that does a lot more than just transfer the packet of the network. And those are the types of things where we generate the revenue. So it's not just the network; it's those additional add-ons that we're building on top of Chirp that will give users the tools and bootstrap the growth of the network. And you also just mentioned meme coins. So it's with Cage, we have developed this application. We're gamifying it, and essentially, it's the first game with real-world utility. So something like this has not been done before, because all of the users, they're actually building the service that will be offered by Chirp. And that's huge. And I think, like, people are starting to realize the value of this. And that's why in just a month, we have onboarded over 500,000 people that are already using the app and that are already building those services. And I think that's huge because, those numbers, they're typically seen in meme space, where you have, like a lot of followers. But in here, like you have a very techie project with a lot of followers.
I like the way this is coming together because you're providing like real world value because businesses need that data and users are rewarded for getting the data through playing a game that then actually gets the data. So that all makes sense to me. I don't know if you remember back in 2021, there was like this shoemaker that was releasing these shoes that then if you walked in them, you would earn the tokens. And I was like, that's great. That's providing health, but how do you monetize that data? Well, they had to monetize it through selling expensive shoes. And I was like, it's incomplete. There's no provider that's getting benefits enough to pay people to walk. And so I don't see longevity in this project. But in what you're doing, there's longevity in it because this data is needed by all these companies. Imagine the ones that are going to want to create car sharing, right? So not just ride sharing, but car sharing like you were describing. And they want to be able to connect to a network with data that's already abundant without having to provide the network. And so you could have lots of competing companies that could be creating this. In fact, they could possibly even create worldwide companies now because they could buy an auto that works in this area and they could buy one in the US and they don't necessarily have to be some huge behemoth to do that because they could then just connect to your network and make it all possible. And users who are providing the data and that they're getting antennas that bring all the different parts of the network together are all getting rewarded in sharing in the value that data.
Yeah, so like it's essentially everybody benefits because you connect the devices, the operators that are running the miners, the physical antennas, they get rewarded. Companies that use the database, so the community gets rewarded, so on and so forth. But I think like a huge use case in here will be actually indoor navigation services. I see that my picture froze. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I hear you. Great. It is frozen. I'm not sure why it's frozen, but it is.
Okay. Well, I mean, like if you can hear me, so hopefully it's going to unfreeze. A huge use case is indoor navigation, and we have been using navigation systems for some 25 years now, but it's essentially like when you go indoors, you lose that signal, and right now you're kind of like going back in time where you have to take out the good old paper map to find your way. And So technologies are developing so quickly. I mean, we should really put an end to that, and this is what Chirp is doing. So with our services, you will be able to build those indoor navigation systems. And it's going to be huge. And don't think of it only as a navigation system for you that will guide you to a particular store. There's already use cases where indoor navigation is being used, let's say, by jails, and they track the jail guards. And they need to know where exactly they are in jail. If something happens, they need to distribute. And that's the actual real world use case where indoor positioning is already being used. So there's a lot of use cases.
Interesting. Well, so the token is not live for people to trade it, but they can download Cage, install it, and start scanning and be able to earn the token. The token's coming live in the next week or two?
So we're negotiating the dates right now with the exchanges. It's very close. Unfortunately, I can't announce the date on the show just yet. So we're negotiating the dates with all of the exchanges right now.
For those that are interested, I love the idea of being able to earn like Helium tokens, but back then you could only earn it by buying an expensive miner. You couldn't download an app for your phone and start scanning. In the 2018 through 2020 bear market, I was trying to get as much crypto as I could, as cheaply as I could, because I hadn't yet experienced massive gains. And so I was just, like a poor working class person working my ass off. And I was looking for every opportunity to get things for free as I could. So Chirp, you can start earning right away. Trading, it'll be tradable soon. And I'll follow up on that when I see the prices. Like a lot of times people ask me, well, is Chirp good to invest in? And I don't ever ask the teams behind it to tell me that side of it. For me, I have to take a look at where prices are at. And so it's kind of like Tesla, though I like Tesla as a company. It depends on where the price of things are at as to whether it's, in my opinion, a good buy or not. I like what you're doing at Chirp, Tim. So thank you for coming and joining us. You've got the same service for your camera as I do, EOS for my camera, and it often fails on me just like this. Sometimes it gets over.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm not sure what happened with the camera, but you guys have seen my face, so
yeah, exactly.
that's important.
Well, I appreciate you joining us. Anything else you wanted to share with what's going on with Chirp?
So no, just anybody who has not joined Cage, feel free to join. The Cage is just the beginning. It's not an airdrop. After the listing, mining will continue. So it really does not matter when you join. If you join right now and you cannot climb the leaderboard high enough to get rewards, you will get another opportunity. So after the listing, shortly after, it's not going to be on the same day with listing, but we're going to switch the app where the leaderboard will reset every 10 days. And you will have a fresh opportunity to climb the leaderboard. So essentially, we're making it accessible for anybody to join at any time. And we think that the Cage app is going to grow exponentially. So right now, it's already over 500,000 users. And we think that it's going to keep growing because right now it has absolutely no signs of slowing down. So with the app, there is no barrier to entry. And then the next level is our Blackbirds, the physical antennas that you buy and you install in your house. And those are going to be mining you more tokens, but there's actually barrier to entry. You have to buy the antenna. And I mean, it's not the cheapest piece of equipment, but it's really technologically advanced. It's a professional grade antenna that has multiple radios that is connecting those different types of devices. So, but regardless, if you're using Blackbird Miner or if you're using Cage, just remember that you're doing something useful. So that's it.
Awesome. Tim, thank you so much for joining us today and appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you for having me.